Well, here at home, the impeachment showdown as the Trump campaign doubles down on Mick Mulvaney's comments from his press conference. ABC's David Wright is at the White House with this story. Good morning to you, David.
Good morning, Eva. This morning, the White House is regrouping after a difficult week on multiple fronts. There was blistering criticism this week over the president's Syria policy, controversy over the decision to host next year's G7 summit at the president's own golf resort, and finally, damage control after the acting chief of staff seemed to confess that there was a quid pro quo with Ukraine. Over it. That's the new T-shirt being sold by the Trump campaign, featuring the president's pompadour right there over the O. It's a phrase that stood out in acting chief of staff Mick Mulvaney's press briefing this week, in which Mulvaney, for the first time, acknowledged the administration withheld military aid to Ukraine, in part to pressure them to investigate corruption.
What you just described is a quid pro quo. It is funding will not flow unless the investigation into the Democratic server happens as well.
We do that all the time with foreign policy. And I have news for everybody. Get over it. There's going to be political influence in foreign policy.
Mulvaney has since tried to walk his comments back, insisting there was no quid pro quo over investigating Joe Biden, and that he never meant to suggest otherwise. ABC News has learned that the U.S. ambassador to the EU was asked about Mulvaney's comments during his 9-hour testimony Thursday to impeachment investigators. Sources say Ambassador Gordon Sondland said that the arrangement Mulvaney described, if it's indeed accurate, would be improper. On Friday, President Trump himself was asked about it. He hastily changed the subject.
I think he clarified it. And I do have to say this. We yesterday had a tremendous day in Texas. We opened a Louis Vuitton plant, one of the great brands of the world.
Trump immediately went on to talk about his ribbon cutting at a Louis Vuitton factory in Texas. But the Democrats are not over it when it comes to Mulvaney's initial comments. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told CNN she considered it to be a confession and said she saw it as an example of the Trump White House trying to make lawlessness normal and even make lawlessness a virtue. The White House, or the Mulvaney comments have certainly added fuel to the fire as far as Democrats are concerned. Both the White House counsel and the Department of Justice have distanced themselves from Mulvaney's initial remarks, and the president not in a hurry to clarify them. Eva?
Well, David, Mulvaney's comments about Ukraine came as he was defending the decision to hold next summer's G7 at the president's own golf course. The House is now taking action on that?
That's right, Eva. House Democrats now plan to hold hearings on that, looking into whether it might violate the emoluments clause, the constitutional prohibition against the president profiting from his office. They're also likely to hold a vote condemning the move, but that resolution would likely be non-binding. Eva?
All right, David Wright for us at the White House.